Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Webster, Tarpley here in Washington, D.C. So the military deployments towards Syria, before we go any further, involve these naval deployments, a buildup of anti-ballistic missile forces by the U.S. in the Black Sea and related areas. Now, this could very well be predicting that there's, in case of a war with Syria, Iran, Lebanon, you're going to have big salvos of ballistic missiles of all sorts. They would be coming from Iran, they would be coming from Hezbollah, and if that border crossing into Gaza is open, has been used, there might be some ballistic missiles coming out of Gaza too, at least the small ones, but maybe something more capable. At that point, there would be a tremendous need for anti-ballistic missile coverage over Israel, but also other NATO states, right? Because some of that stuff might get launched towards NATO states that had provided bases, maybe Romania, maybe Greece, maybe others. Good reason not to be in NATO these days. So that looks like the reason for the Aegis cruiser. All of this seems to add up towards a move against Syria. Now, it's supplemented by reports. You have people calling in to our friend Alex Jones and his program, and we're told that at Fort Hood, Texas, the special forces have been told that they're going to be on their way to Libya, and I'm putting Libya in quotes because it may well be Libya. It's certainly plausible and quite possible, but there may be other destinations as well. Again, what we've just gone through. Think Syria, think Iran, think Lebanon, and keep thinking, because it goes on from there. There's a belt now that goes from Lebanon all the way to Afghanistan, to the gates of India, and to Pakistan, and that seems to be the area, the Ark of Crisis, as Brzezinski would have said. So the Fort Hood people are told that the special forces are going to be on their way to Libya. The 1st Cavalry Division. This is an armored division. This has tanks. We're told that they may be on their way. Now, the problem with that is that, I think, has 3 brigades, and it looks like one brigade is in Afghanistan and another brigade is in Iraq already. So it's not clear. Maybe some other units of that 1st Cavalry Division. But then we're told that the 3rd Corps has been told that they may be going to, quote, Libya, unquote. This would be July for the special forces, and then something like September, October for the rest of them, for the heavier forces, the tanks. Let's see. The 3rd Corps includes the 1st Armored Division at Fort Bliss, 1st Cavalry Division, Fort Hood, Texas, 1st Infantry Division, Fort Riley, Kansas, 4th Infantry Division, Fort Carson, 3rd Armored Division, Fort Hood, Texas, and the artillery is at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. So any of those units, any combination or selection of those, could soon find themselves on their way to Libya and or Lebanon, Syria, Iran, and beyond. Maybe it's Pakistan. Maybe this is contingency. So this is beginning to look very ugly. It is time to stop this. Now let's look at Pakistan before we look at the logistical and political problems that this aggression is running into. We have the discussion of the attack on the Pakistani nuclear forces continuing. We have another West Point study. This is done by a British academic, a very interesting combination. The West Point study essentially points to the fact that the Pakistanis are building more and more nuclear weapons, that they're up to 100, and they're in the process of getting more, and they're in the process of making these available as battlefield tactical nuclear weapons, meaning that they've got to be deployed with the troops, and they've got to be put closer and closer to the combat zones. These are battlefield nuclear weapons that have a range of 40, 50 miles, So therefore, the argument coming from the West Point Counterterrorism Center for Combating Terrorism at West Point that we've heard from before, and their British academic, is that the danger involved in this is getting greater and greater, and that you have to watch out. They go through the fact that in recent years you have had an attack, I believe in 2009, on the main military headquarters of the Pakistani military, and that's showing, according to this analysis, that this is what may be in the cards for the immediate future. So we'll get the exact reference on this in just a minute. So a lot of discussion in all kinds of press organs about the possibility that terrorists can take over the Pakistani nuclear weapon. This is the war horse that the U.S. and the British are riding. This is the tambourine, the tom-tom that they want to beat on in order to justify, to begin motivating what they're planning to do. And remember, Ahmadinejad of Iran said on the 6th of June, quote, "We, Iran, have precise information that America wants to sabotage Pakistan's nuclear facilities in order to control Pakistan and to weaken the government and the people of Pakistan. The U.S. is seeking to use the United Nations Security Council and some other international organizations as a lever to pave the way for its increased presence in Pakistan with the aim of undermining Pakistan's national sovereignty." And perceptibly, Ahmadinejad adds, "The Americans want to gain popularity among the regional nations through the implementation of this plan and portray themselves as the upholders of human rights." He says that while there's a new regime in the U.S. since 2009, the nature of the ruling system has not changed. Only the masks have changed. Campaign against terrorism was the mask of the previous U.S. administration, but the mask of the current administration is the support for human rights. Now, the attempt to grab the Pakistani nukes, much assisted by the new report that Zawahiri has finally made it. He's gotten his confirmation hearings. He got his quorum. Who knows what this was, right? The Grand Council of Al-Qaeda meeting behind the scenes has finally chosen Zawahiri. You remember we had a couple of weeks ago a report it was some other guy living in Quetta, whose story was that he had been captured by Iran at some point. But now it's Zawahiri, our good MI6 agent Zawahiri, involved in the assassination of Sadat, then kept shielded by the British for some years against extradition requests, we're told, by Jihan Sadat. And there he is now. He's made it to the top. And the word from Admiral Mullen, the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is that the U.S. will not hesitate to attack Zawahiri. And guess what? He's in Pakistan. He's not in Finsbury in London. He's not in Flatbush in Brooklyn in New York City. No, for some reason he's got to be in Pakistan. They know he's in Pakistan, and he's really dangerous. And Mullen also, during his appearance with Gates in the Congress, points out that the big danger with Al-Qaeda is, and here's the way he says it, things that I fear in the future, it's the proliferation of that technology, meaning nuclear, and it's the opportunity and the potential that nuclear technology could fall into the hands of terrorists, many of whom are alive and well and seek that in the region. So we have from the press, it's a nightmare scenario. Al-Qaeda militants get control of a Pakistani nuclear weapon, either through a base assault, theft, or a rogue commander's cooperation, possibly in the event of hostilities with nuclear-armed neighbor India. So it's already a huge war that's put into the scales. We'll be back in a minute.